What is going on, guys? Welcome to week number 10 of our Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty. It's week 10, like I mentioned, and we have got a preview video on tap for today's action. We're going to be looking at the matchups, getting a pick preview, give you guys my picks, my thoughts, my predictions, and we're going to also do recruiting and get an update with Heisman ranking as well. In today's recruiting episode, I will not be covering everybody on this list. It's just impossible and it takes forever, right? So we'll take a look at guys that each team is really close to signing, some key noteworthy players, and we're actually going to cover all Big 12 teams. It'll be real quick, real snapshot-like, and we'll go from there. First up, we got Daniel Monroe, the #1 defensive pass rusher. We are well familiar with Daniel at this point in the season as far as recruiting updates go. We're up on everybody in first place. I like it. Demarion Foreman has seen a nice little push here. So it started off where it was all Alabama, and now Washington down by 725. Washington's kind of hanging in there. It's kind of a weird mix, I would think. A guy out of Alabama, the #1 running back, kind of considering Washington, plus a lot of Big 12 teams, and then Alabama being the home state discount type of player. 1,100 points for Ardmore. That's a good get right there. We are thinking about giving him a visit here in week 13. That visit for week 11 upcoming for Foreman, it might hurt. Might hurt our chances. Kentrell Huggins, only looking at Big 12 Team Builder teams, and he's loving Odessa State right now. Amarillo, Ardmore in that close, heated battle. It's not over. We could easily grab ourselves Kentrell Huggins. Nathan Arbaugh, we're still down. And this time we're down by 65 points. So we can't really catch Bowling Green for whatever reason. ACU has making a steady push for Jordan Lashley. I like to see that. Taylor Mickens has officially locked us out. He is considering Amarillo and UCF. And there is no way, guys, that we are going to be able to open the door and unlock this guy. Not going to happen. Even though we have some to use still, we can't use him on Mickens. He's totally locked us out. Update on Oliver Price. We're hanging right in there with Iowa State. I never thought I would say those words, but 570 points down to those guys. Little lovable Nebraska State. They have two guys visiting today, Darius Hamilton and Ryan Scott. And who are those guys? Who are those players? Well, Ryan Scott is the #1 run blocking tackle in all of this recruiting board. So yeah, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. They're going to really have to hit on getting Ryan Scott, because right now it's looking like he's going to Kansas A&M. And you know what? They really need it. They really need a guy like Ryan Scott. Custom recruit update. Niall Cotton is in the lead by 220 points. Next up, 1,500 points there for McAllen. Nebraska State doing a good job with Niall Cotton. Nathan Arbaugh has locked Nebraska State out. Nebraska State in a heated battle with Little Rock for the services of Gerald Arnold. Brent Moore, a pretty sneaky type of player here. He's basically been non-committal. The #9 strong safety is a hard hitter. This would be a great player for Nebraska State. Kind of set the tone on defense a little bit. They need a guy that's going to be a dog on that defense. Ever since they lost Joey Shanka, and I never thought I would say this either, but ever since they lost Joey Shanka, they have not had the same identity. They have not had that same grit and grind type of defense, and maybe this guy out of Alabama at 6'2", 192 might be a good get. Head coach Corey DeLoach is kind of on the hot seat right now. 2-loss ACU, and they haven't made a lot of headway with their recruiting class this season, and it's been unfortunate for them. They've got a lot of guys locking them out. 81 overall, Tony Powers. We've got Kevin Davis here. They're making a push for Jordan Lashley, but they're in second place, as we talked about. Scott Powell, a good guard. They're losing to Camu on that front. Frank Young losing by a lot to Midland State and McAllen. So they are just not getting it done on the recruiting trail, and they're losing out to other team builder schools. So in kind of a summary here for ACU, it seems to be like what's happening is kind of a changing of the guard. We've talked about it for many years in this dynasty, but for whatever reason, Denver Tech hasn't really lost to any of these Big 12 team builder teams other than myself, other than Ardmore, other than Broken Arrow with Brian Street. beat them once. We've got Antonio Miles Jr. here. I wonder if we can actually break down the door for him. No, we can't even break down the door for Miles Jr. So that kind of stinks. But, you know, I feel it. I feel it in my bones a little bit that we're starting to see a changing of the guard, and ACU is kind of losing out on these top tier type of players because the Big 12 in general is getting more competitive. And I will actually go back and do some more recruiting here for these guys to kind of take some points off of these bigger players with leads like Brett Green. We don't need this many points on Brett Green right now, the 250. So we need more here on this guy like Preston Mitchell. That needs to be up there. And I can readjust here as we go forward. But just to give you kind of an idea of what we're looking at for ACU, I'm spending a little bit extra time on them because it's kind of a bigger deal because this is your guys' team as far as the subscribers go. Got Denver Tech here. Kendrick Goss, Nathan Arbaugh, Earl Jacobs, and Frankie Young. They are visiting Denver Tech this week. And taking a look here, Kevin Davis, the #1 free safety, losing out to McAllen and Stanford, despite putting all of these points on this guy. Here's Mike Davis that we probably should be putting a little bit more points on to try to take him, nab him away from McAllen, at least make it a little bit more competitive. But they've got some good guys up on their board, and, you know, like we talked about a little bit earlier with the ACU front, Denver Tech just, despite all of the hate that they get from me, that they get from my brother, talking about how they might be on upset alert, how they might lose, they are still running a clean, tight ship over here at Denver Tech. And you know what? I wonder. So we can break the lock. We can break the lock here. I don't know if I want to use it or not, though. Obviously, having more Big 12 team builder teams in that mix in order to try to nab Demarion Foreman, it would be a good thing. I think we have to do it. I think we have to break the lock on Demarion Foreman. And, you know, you don't want to miss out on him. And I don't want to get him to Bama. I don't want to allow Alabama to just jump on in there and grab him. So we're going to go do it. We're going to go do it. So now all the Denver Tech people out there, knowing that I'm an Ardmore guy, they can't hate on me now. They can't hate on me now. So Demarion Foreman has just vaulted up the boards to the #2 spot, and we're going to try to catch Alabama. Kansas A&M is actually going to break down the door to try to grab a wide receiver, Kentrell Huggins. This is going to happen, guys. They have never had a big play wide receiver, and they're looking at Huggins to be kind of that guy for the future of the transitioning period for this program. As soon as Bud Warner retires, I can guarantee you they're not going to be running any sort of option, even though that's kind of been their identity for quite some time. They got to change. They got to change something up. It's just not working. What they're doing is just not working, and it hasn't for quite some time. Ever since year 1, year 2, they have not done anything in the years afterward. Ryan Scott, we talked about him. He's in the lead for Kansas A&M. Another guard here in the lead, and another guard, Scott Powell, in the lead. They're really trying to hit home this offensive line need. They've also got a big lead here for Derek Burns, a middle linebacker, another key cog in that defense. So actually, you know what? Camu's doing a really good job with their recruiting class right now, getting a young offensive line, a playmaking wide receiver that they're going to rely on offense, and then Derek Burns going to be that anchor on defense. I think that they're doing a really, really good job, from especially when you consider where they've been at. I think that they're doing okay. Offers scholarship here a little bit late to Rashad Harris, but I think that we might be able to come back there and go grab him. Taylor Mickens, I don't know if we can unlock the door on him. We can't. We cannot. Anybody else? Oliver Price, Bryce Williams. Nope. Not going to happen. So, Camu, they're doing good. They're doing a good job. Ooh, Shreveport. Believe in the Shreve, baby. It is coming alive out there in Louisiana. They got Joe Taylor, Kerry Hardy. Antonio Miles Jr. is actually visiting despite being locked out. And then we got Jay Williams here. We got some points to spend for Amarillo. Let's take a look at what we've got here, what we're working with. And it's like break the lock day, guys. It's break the lock day. Open the damn door to Antonio Miles. There we go, baby. Did not think that this was even going to happen, guys. We vaulted Shreveport to number 2 ahead of Florida State. And now we've given ourselves a chance, especially on this next visit this week. This is going to be big for the Shreveport team and this program to get a guy like this. They need a guy that's going to be the backup, or at least the number 2 strong safety outside of Matt Bradica, who they ended up getting in, I think, in year 1 or year 2. So a big-time player for Miles Jr., and that's a big-time move from a program that is making a lot of moves as of late. Mike Hall, we talked about him with Buddy Monroe, I believe. They were down 1,100 points, but out of Washington, D.C., a 5-star, number 2 pass rusher. He's considering Shreveport. I like to see that. A good guard right there. Joe Taylor, Jarvis Humphrey, we talked about that update. Nigel Jones, not looking like he's going to be in the mix, but they did get Darius Davis. I think we covered him a while ago. But overall, it's a pretty good board for Shreveport. Outside of the very top guys, I mean, these 69s and 68s are good players. They'll probably max out at an 85 overall. These guys are not going to push them over the top unless they find a gem. That's easily possible, but they're really going to have to rely on getting guys like this if they're really going to want to take the program to the next level. Check out the top 25. You guys have already noticed here I'm doing this solo. I'm doing a solo run right now. I know my brother likes to do top 25 because he's super interested in that and he's good at talking about it. Me, not so much. A lot of the BCS ranking and understanding the computer and how it works. But Ardmore is number 1. We got 37 votes for first place, 22 for Clemson. If you guys remember Clemson, Stephen Cust, the former coach, the head coach for Nebraska State, has led a 5-7 Clemson Tigers from a year ago. The program was in steep decline, and they made a push. They took a gamble, and they got Stephen Cust, and he's doing amazing things out at Clemson. The 99 offense, the 95 defense. This team is legit. Who did they even play? Did they play anybody that was any good? Let's see. TCU, they blew them out of the water. 31-24. Georgia Tech beat them up. Miami beat them up. North Carolina State beat them up. Duke beat them up. Florida State only beat them by 10. So I wouldn't even call them a paper tiger. Ha, get it? I'm staggered. I wouldn't call them a paper tiger. I think that they're beating some pretty solid teams. They might not be the number 2 team in the nation, but I think that they've earned a top 5 ranking. We've got Penn State, Tennessee, Shreveport up to number 5 in the nation. It's the highest that they've ever been in program history, so they've got a big game coming up against ACU. We'll see what happens in that game, but Denver Tech here, Midland State, McAllen, ACU. We have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the top 10. 60% of the top 10 is made up of Big 12 teams. That is unreal. That's unheard of. Little Rock, number 14, moved down a spot from 13 to 14 after losing to McAllen, and they go in to play Ardmore in a big week, as Buddy Monroe just talked about. Nebraska State goes down 3 spots, so they weren't punished all that harshly for losing to the number 1 team in the land, your Ardmore Thunderwolves. Let's check out the others receiving votes real quick. Odessa State still ranked at that number 25 spot. And then Amarillo is getting other votes. Camu is getting votes. Update on the Heisman Watch. Only 1 player from the Big 12, despite all these teams being ranked. We've only got 1 team with a Heisman representative right now, Alex Makovich. 88 yards passing, 21 carries, 108 and 2. So I would say that that's right on the money there. Just did not move the needle in that performance whatsoever. But we got Chester Hall, who's moving on up the board after 138 yards rushing, only on 22 carries. Chris Brooks moving down a spot. Will McBride out of Tennessee, 14 of 23. That's not a good ratio, but he had some rushing touchdowns. Looking at our Big 12 Players of the Week, all NCAA honors for Rasheed Davis from week number 9. Let's take a look at the Big 12. So Rasheed Davis obviously not going to move there. And then Caleb Talley was a forced fumble and an interception against Odessa. helped them seal the deal with those 2 turnovers as a big game in that Battle of the Basin. How about a little bit of an injury report so you guys can make a more informed selection on your picks? This is right before we go into the picks and the matchup previews. And obviously we got Lamont Christian being injured for 3 weeks. He's going to be out for that length of time. So we're looking at Buster Smith being the quarterback for Broken Arrow. That's not good for their chances. I don't think they're going to win another game going into the rest of the season. And we know that Kilpatrick had been out for quite some time. We have Brad Freeman, an 88 overall left end, going to be out for another week with a hip pointer issue for McAllen. I don't think that that's game breaking, but this might be an issue for Midland State. Listed at quarterback, but if you guys have been following along since the beginning of year number 5, you'll know that Claude Gray was an athlete that came over to play both positions, wide receiver and backup quarterback. So he's the backup quarterback of the future after Kent Collins leaves, but in the meantime, he's been making a lot of plays in the passing game. As far as receiving goes, I mean, just look at these numbers. 4 touchdowns, 406, 30 receptions. He's a good player, and they're going to miss him. If key being questionable length, if he's even out for that period of time. Odessa State's clean, Shreveport's clean, and there's Air Force being the top of the alphabet there, so there is your injury report. All right, fellas, let's get into the picks and previews here. Ardmore and Little Rock, let's see what we got. They got Freddie Tucker visiting. Buddy Monroe loves himself some Freddie Tucker. I would too. He seems like he's going to be a good cornerback. But when we look at this matchup, we got some really good defenses going to be on display here. Little Rock with the number 44 pass defense, number 6 in rush. Total is 8. Ardmore with number 15 in all the land. Plus, when you look at the offenses through the air, number 5 for Ardmore, number 6 for Little Rock. This is going to be a tight game. It's going to be a close game. Really, in all honesty, it just depends on who's better prepared. Who's better prepared to scheme and game plan and fit to their strengths and really attack the opposing defense's weakness or the opposing offensive weakness. It's gonna be a close game. That's all I can tell you right now, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna fare against Little Rock. Remember, we lost to them last season. It didn't hurt us that badly when it came down to getting reviewed for the national title game and getting into that Big 12 title game. So I don't know. We're coming into this game undefeated. If we lose to Little Rock, I don't think it's going to hurt us that much. Amarillo McAllen, the Brock Busselman Bowl, as we like to call it. He used to coach at the University of McAllen, and now he's at the University of Amarillo. McAllen obviously holding the edge here. I think McAllen's going to win the game ultimately. I just don't think that Amarillo has enough firepower to stay with them. That rush offense is legit. What's interesting here is they don't like to throw the football. However, they throw the football enough to where their total offensive numbers per game is still ranked in the top 5 of all the nation. Number 4 with rush offense, that's so tough to stop, so hard to stop, that former Denver Tech style of offense. And the rush defense. And what does Amarillo like to do with Nate Galveston? They like to keep it between the boxes, to keep it within some middle ground West Coasty style with Nate Galveston. I don't know. I'm going to take McAllen. I'm going to take McAllen with confidence. Camu at Denver Tech. I know in the past this game, when you looked at it, you might have thought that Camu probably could have been a nice upset special type of pick against Denver Tech, but I don't see it in this one either. You've got the number 1 quarterback in all the nation with Alex Makovich being the Heisman race guy. They've got some prospects, some big-time prospects visiting. So I don't think Denver Tech's going to lose this game. Take Denver Tech. Jace Freeman just has some issues. Here's an interesting one. Nebraska State, 2 top 25 teams squaring off, and Nebraska State's at home. Odessa's got a better offense. You might argue that with the number 4 rated offense and only a -2 in turnover differential. But here's the thing. Here's what we always talk about with these 2 football programs. It's all about the turnover differential. If Nebraska State and Chinoski throw the football all over the field and they're having success and they don't turn it over, they'll probably more than likely win the game. Plus, Gansu at home is nearly unbeatable. Just saying. They win a lot of games at home. If you're taking Odessa, it's a smart pick. because Nebraska State's defense is god-awful. And he's not here to defend himself, so I hate saying it, but it's true. It's true. Their pass defense is 118th in the nation. However, on the flip side, Odessa State is even worse by 1 more yard per game. I think I'm just going to default to Little Broski. I think he's going to get the W here and move to 6-2. ACU at Shreveport. This is crazy to me because now you have teams on kind of opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to trend. ACU's kind of on the downswing, having 2 conference losses, something they haven't really experienced. They have not really been here in this situation, and honestly, they're not really that scary like they used to be. Despite the overall ratings, despite their ranks in the pass offense and the defense, they're not really that scary when it comes to games that are simulated. At least what you're seeing on the screen. And this is another game that's going to be simulated as you're going to be able to watch it. It's going to be the game of the week. You're going to get 2 user games and you're going to get this game because it's too good not to show. We got to show Shreveport, who's 7-0 right now and the number 5 team in the land. Can they do it? Can they take down ACU? I'm going with the upset. I'm taking Shreveport. I think Rasheed Davis at that 99 is the real deal. And I think ACU's just that national championship game loss against Ardmore is kind of getting to their heads a little bit. They've lost so much talent to the pros. I could be wrong. ACU's a good team. Not giving them crap for that. They're a good team. They could go into the Shreve and win, but it's going to be close. This one doesn't need much of a preview. We've got Lamont Christian out for 3 weeks. Buster Smith getting the start here. 2-5 Uba against 6-1 Midland State. Midland held their own against Odessa State. Did good things there. Got the win. I'm taking Midland State with that offense. It's just too good for Uba to handle. And that number 3 ranked defense and the rush, Wranglers aren't going to be able to do anything on offense. So guys, that's going to round out your Big 12 Week 10 preview. Hope you guys liked it. Leave a like if you did. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that red button for subscribe or my logo in the bottom right-hand corner. We will see you guys on Saturday night for the Week 10 action. And it's going to be another premiere because I love premieres. I love being able to talk to you guys through those premieres. Picks form is in the comment section and in the description below. So you guys can go check that out, click that, and make your picks for week number 10. Week 11 will once again be posted on Saturday. We'll have another preview video, but for week 11, we'll also be doing a Madden update as well. We'll take a look at the Miami Dolphins and Jed Carmichael and get an update on those guys as well. So guys, leave a like if you like this thing. I'll see you in the next one. As always, peace.